Run for cover! Run for your lives! Emergency! Emergency!
Chicken Little! What is it? What's going on?
The sky is falling! The sky is falling!
The sky is falling!
Are you crazy? No, 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 it's true. Come with me.
No, son.
What?
For those who need a little more evidence they can get their arms around, the Pentagon issued a report in October 2003. I need to read this to you because you can't possibly memorize something as convoluted as this. It's titled, An Abrupt Climate Change Scenario and Its Implications for United States National Security, October 2003, commissioned by the United States Defense Department, authored by Mr. Schwartz and Mr. Randall. That abrupt climate change may occur in the not-too-distant future, not decades in the future, in the not-too-distant future, causing longer, harsher winters in America, massive droughts turning farmland into dust bowls, and forests to ashes. Now you may say to yourself, John, it sounds like you're talking about global warming. Well, I am. Now by 1985, the government knew full well what would be happening 20 years later. They knew the events that would be occurring and why they would be occurring. And they knew they needed a cover story to keep everybody calm and peaceful, going to work every morning, paying their mortgage, and being good little citizens. So the cover story they decided on was global warming. And it's been very effective.
A frog is a cold-blooded animal, and humans are warm-blooded, so our body burns energy or perspires to maintain the same 98.6 degrees. The cold-blooded frog's body temperature goes up and down with the temperature of its surroundings.
If a frog jumps into a pot of boiling water, it jumps right out again because it senses the danger. But the very same frog, if it jumps into a pot of lukewarm water that is slowly brought to a boil, will just sit there and it won't move. It'll just sit there even as the temperature continues to go up and up. It'll stay there until
This is Democracy Now! I'm Amy Goodman as we turn to California, where drought-fueled wildfires rage towards Southern California's coastal cities over the weekend. The fires scorching 230,000 acres of land, forcing nearly 200,000 people to evacuate. At least one woman has died so far. The wildfires, the fifth largest on record so far in California history, the largest ever recorded in December. Climate experts say the intensity of the winter blazes is linked to climate change. Authorities have warned residents to stay inside because of the dangerous air quality caused by smoke and carcinogenic ash from the fires. But a number of farms have stayed open, sparking concerns. Farm workers are laboring in hazardous conditions without proper equipment. Last week, volunteers handing out free protective masks to farm workers say they were kicked off some farms, despite the fact the pickers were asking for the safety equipment.
Let's bring you up to date with what's happening right now with an earthquake in the past 45 minutes. Is coming in right before 10 p.m. local time across portions of Honduras, sitting just about 300 kilometers north of Honduras, where we had the epicenter of a 7.6 magnitude quake. Depth came in at around 10 kilometers, so a very shallow quake. And anytime you exceed a magnitude 7, you have a shallow quake such as this one, you're going to, of course, disturb the water, and that's the concern across the Caribbean, as certainly want to see some high waves across some of these islands. And we know aftershocks have already been coming in. In fact, 2 aftershocks have been observed in the 4.5 scale, and we know historically speaking, expect 100 or so of such aftershocks. Typically you get 1, which is 1 order of magnitude less, but the USGS right now saying this is going to be a limited infrastructure and also loss of life impact. So at least some good news there when it comes to this. We know high probability, no loss of life associated with this quake.
You can tell quite clearly from the drone footage that that is a large landslide, that a big area has started to move. And the concerns are, how far will it go and when might it do that? There's a high probability that the slide will keep moving. This is a big slide, it started to move, it's been accelerating since October, but there's a very low probability in all likelihood that it would move so far as to ever reach the highway. It doesn't look like this was caused by rain. It doesn't look like it was caused by an earthquake. This is a big piece of the slope that started to detach. This is a very different kind of slide than the Oso slide, and the odds of it actually failing the way that the Oso one did are very, 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 very small. Odds are it'll continue to move slowly, but you never know sort of how far a slide like that may travel.
In Southern California, rescuers are scouring the aftermath of Tuesday's mudslides, hoping to find survivors. And just minutes ago, the Santa Barbara sheriff announced 43 people remain missing. 17 people are confirmed dead.
That number of missing going up. Local firefighters posted this dramatic video of one couple's terrifying escape. They are in that car, being pushed along by surging debris. They did make it out safely, we're told. Heavy rainfall sent rivers of mud and even boulders, big ones too, crashing into homes in Santa Barbara County weeks after a massive wildfire charred the area.
Trump administration's proposal to expand offshore oil and gas drilling comes as scientists say climate change may be related to the devastatingly freezing weather currently engulfing wide swaths of the United States. Some scientists say the melting of the Arctic and the weakening of the jet stream could be allowing more cold air to escape the Arctic and engulf lower latitudes, such as Europe and parts of North America. A brutal cold is setting in across the East Coast and Midwest today, with wind-chill temperatures expected to dip as low as negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit in New York and negative 25 degrees Fahrenheit in Boston over the weekend. The freeze comes after a winter storm dubbed a bomb cyclone dumped more than a foot of snow across 8 different states, closing schools, forcing the cancellation of thousands of flights, and knocking out power for tens of thousands of people. At least 17 people have died from the weather so far this week. The National Guard has been mobilized in multiple states. In Boston, the blizzard not only blanketed the city in more than a foot of snow, it also caused frigid water from the Boston Harbor to surge into Boston.
Unmistakable language, bending the palms as it howled in and whipping up big angry waves and spray on the normally glassy lagoon. The last time the weather got this cold, about 1,500 green sea turtles were shocked by the cold and rescued.
They get very lethargic and kind of lifeless. Slowly as the day progressed, we just started picking up, finding more and more turtles.
Nobody was prepared for it. We were ending up with hundreds of turtles. There was just no place to put them.
Well, here's some shocking video from Miami. It's so cold outside, the iguanas are falling out of the trees.
As NBC2's Joe Petrollo shows us, the invasive lizards may look frozen to death, but you might want to keep away.
Yeah. Let's take a look at how far out the ocean is frozen off of Massachusetts. That is miles and miles and miles out to sea. And when we get an aerial view, you can really see the extent of the ice going out.
It's true that no single event makes a trend. But the fact is, the 12 hottest years on record have all come in the last 15. Heat waves, droughts, wildfires, floods, all are now more frequent and more intense. We can choose to believe that Superstorm Sandy and the most severe drought in decades and the worst wildfires some states have ever seen were all just a freak coincidence. Or we can choose to believe in the overwhelming judgment of science and act before it's too late.
Chicken Little, what were you thinking?
Why would you put your town's safety in jeopardy?
How could you mistake a stop sign for an acorn?
But a big acorn level fly.
What did he say?
Big acorn level fly.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's just gibberish. Gibberish of an insane person.
Oh, come on, Buck! Your kid went and scared us all half to death.
Well, tell you folks, my son, you know, kids do crazy stuff.
No, Dad. You gotta believe me.
Yahshua.
In the morning light, take my hand.